Very well, Council. We resume.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Commissioners, I call Mr. Abdoulie Cham. I recall Mr. Abdoulie Cham, Social Security and Housing Finance. What is the video?
18th October. Social Security.
Morning, Mr. Cham. May we remind you of your oath, sir, that you're still on the oath. Thank you. You know, have a seat.
That's it?
Yeah, please.
Mr. Cham, when you testified on the last occasion, there was still a set of documents regarding to loans that were not available with you, yes. I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have them?
Yes, I do.
This is in regard to NAWEC?
Yes, it's in connection with NAWEC.
Okay. Could you tell the Commission about it?
Yes, this was also classified as a non-performing loan regarding to an executive directive from the Office of the President dated 27th October 2010. The subject matter was Engineering Procurement Construction EPG agreement between Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation.
Sorry, you have to slow down so that we can hear you distinctively. Yes, this was in relation to? NAWEC, in regards to engineering procurement of construction agreement between Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation and GTG for installation, testing, commissioning of 2 existing HFO fired generators at Birkamau Power Plant, the Gambia. It was a directive for Social Security?
Yes. Office of the President.
By letter dated what? What was the date of the letter?
The letter was dated 28 October 2010.
Okay. This is additional to the NAWEC loans that you have submitted?
Yes, exactly.
And you say it's non-performing?
It's non-performing, yeah. It's classified as non-performing loan.
How much was the loan?
Sorry?
How much was the loan?
The amount for this it's about 1,840,000 euro 600.
Can you be more specific? It was 1,840,000 euro.
600 euros. 840,600 euros.
What was the equivalent in dollars at the time?
74,517,000.
Okay. Who was the loan given to?
A
this amount relates to the, as I said earlier, as the subject matter, is in connection with the procurement construction agreement between Social Security and GTG, which is Global Trading Company, for installation, testing, and commissioning of 2 existing, HFO fire generators at Birkama Power Plant.
2 generators.
Yes,
basically.
generators.
2 generators were to be installed at Birkama Power Plant.
Power plant, that's right.
And Social Security was required to finance the installation costs.
Costs, exactly.
So you have a letter, that is the directive from Office of the President. Do you have the agreement you just mentioned?
Yes, I did have the agreement signed between the Social Security and the GTG and the Global Trading Group.
Global Trading Group. Who signed the agreement on behalf of Social Security and who signed on behalf of Global Trading Group?
Mr. Edward Graham, the then Managing Director of Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, and Manhal, with that, on behalf of Global Trading Group.
And where was the money paid?
These amounts were paid to Global Trading Group.
You have the documents?
Yes, I have the payment vouchers.
Global Trading Group, yes. In an account in Gambia or in an account abroad?
No, in Gambia, at the Trust Bank.
What's the account number?
Well, there are a series of payments regarding to that. 2 of the payments were made, a payment voucher was raised, the payment voucher is here, and paid to Global Trading.
Yes, where? In Trust Bank Gambia, you said?
No, we raised the payee, we wrote Global Trading Group and paid the amount. It was an initial advance payment of 1.3, which was converted to dollars and then paid to Global Trading.
In Gambia?
Subsequent payment, yes.
Okay.
The payments were made in dollars, equivalent to 1.8 million euros.
Did you have a board resolution for this loan? Or board approval in whatever form?
Well, I cannot remember whether there was a board resolution to that effect. Probably the submission requested by your office, from office to submit all board walkabout resolution. Probably it would, if there was any board walkabout resolution, but I actually don't know.
Your secretary, board secretary, is expected to produce all board resolutions.
Yes,
very well. You don't have it here.
No, I don't have it.
If it exists, that's what you're saying. Okay. Only the Ministry of Finance was involved in this one, or was Office of the President was involved? Was the Ministry of Finance involved in any way?
It was between the Office of the President and then the Ministry of Energy as well. Because there is a memo, a letter written to Social Security from the Ministry of Energy, quoting a letter reference dated 27, which I earlier mentioned, from the Office of the President.
Okay. What about NAWEC?
Sorry?
Do you have a loan agreement with NAWEC?
No, we don't have any agreement with NAWEC. Normally, when this installation was taking place, the GTG will do the work with their own construction district, and then NAWEC will do the certification for us to pay.
What I want to know, this is, you call this a loan?
Yes.
It's a loan from Social Security to NAWEC?
Yes.
Meaning NAWEC is the borrower?
Yeah, NAWEC
do you have an agreement with NAWEC that they were borrowing from Social Security with the intention of paying it back?
No, we don't have an agreement with NAWEC regarding to this 74 million.
All right, let's have the documents. That's all you have. You've mentioned all the documents that you have.
Yes, that's the document, the directive we received, and then the instruction to the bank to effect payment regarding to these particular payments.
Do you have anything on record that NAWEC, this is a loan to NAWEC, instead of just a payment made on the instructions of the Office of the President?
I'm not too sure, but there was an additional document regarding to this issue. We went further by signing a document, if I could remember, BOT, which we call Bill, Hold and Transfer. And that was between Social Security and NAWEC regarding to this power plant.
You didn't bring it?
Maybe I will further check on the documentation, because this was, really treated at top management level, and sort of 2010, definitely I was not at that top management this thing to...
Yes, but you are here sitting as Social Security,
Yeah.
so you're not speaking for yourself.
Yeah, okay.
So you need to bring all documents
Okay,
that are relevant.
I will try and find a document and submit. I'm aware that there was a BOT document regarding to this particular project.
All right, let's have those documents. Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted documents said to relate to a loan of 1,840,600 euro to NAWEC with regard to the installation of generators at Brikama Power Plant?
engineering, procurement, construction, that is EPC, agreement dated 28th October 2010 between Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation and Global Trading Group, NV Antwerp, and related correspondence in a bundle, admitted mark SC34.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Cham, do you know how Global Trading Group came to be awarded the contract for the installation? Do you know anything about it?
No, I don't.
The 2 generating sets that they were supposed to install, does Social Security have anything to do with them?
Well, basically our responsibility there was to meet the cost of the installation.
Okay. There were 2 generating sets that Social Security was supposed to have procured.
Yeah.
Are those the generating sets also?
Well, I don't know what you're referring regarding to Social Security to procure 2 generators. Initially, there was a particular loan of about 118 million, which was given to NAWEC for the procurement of 2 generator sheds. It could probably be these 2 generators at Birkama, that afterwards they came up with the installation bid.
Okay.
Because according to the correspondence, the draft agreement I saw regarding to the 118 million, it says 2 6.5 mega generators for Birkama. And the same thing, we're talking the same Birkama regarding to 2 generators. So I believe they had a link.
So you had
118 million loan with this installation cost as well.
So there was a previous loan?
Yeah, there was a previous loan.
To purchase generating set?
Yes.
Those loans were not presented to the Commission?
Yeah, definitely. Because what we presented on the Commission was the non-performing loan. This 118 million was there since 2005-06. But recently in 2015, we had an agreement between Social Security and NAWEC for the repayment of that 118 million loan. And the agreement is it will be settled offsetting against...
You're speaking so fast.
Okay.
Can you kindly slow down?
Sorry, ma. Sorry. Okay. The agreement regarding to that 118 million between Social Security and NAWEC is about offsetting our bills. Social Security water and electricity bill will be treated against that 118 million, plus our 2 hotels, which is Ocean Bay Hotel and Sun Beach Hotel, plus GTSC every month. So normally bills for GTSC would be sent to GTSC, and then they will raise a check to Social Security. And same thing applies to those hotels as well. When they receive their bills, they will raise a check to Social Security. We'll provide receipt and update NAWEC so that they will credit that loan account between us.
So that is being settled against that specific loan?
That 118. That's the agreement, and it is signed, and we have it in this thing. If you want a copy, we can provide you a copy of that agreement as well.
I think for the records, it would be, at least to complete the records.
Yes, ma'am.
It would be important that you provide the agreement.
Yeah.
When you say this loan is also non-performing, it means it's part of those loans. You had presented, I just want you to be clear, you had presented certain specific loans
yeah,
with regard to NAWEC the last time.
Yeah.
This one should be added then to those loans.
No. Okay, this one should be added to the NAWEC.
This 1.8 million should be added to that.
That's right. That's right.
Does it affect the total 1.7 billion you said was the
it's part
debt
of
out?
yeah.
Is it part of it?
Yeah,
or
it's part of the 1.7.
It's part of the 1.7 billion.
Yes, yeah.
That's outstanding.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions on this issue. Before we move on to investments, you might have questions on this one. Mr. Chairman, we'll move on to investments, as I told you the last time.
Yes, ma'am.
Investments that were made on at the direction or on the instruction of the Office of the President, that the investments we are interested in, and anything connected with them initially, of course.
Yes, we do have some investment directed by the Office of the President as well. On my last appearance, I have the lady up there with Mr. Sen. They did make some inquiries regarding to our investment portfolio. So if I may be allowed, I make a brief summary of the corporation investment portfolio to date. A brief summary of it. Well, our investments relate to basically our equity investment. It relates to equity acquisition of shares, the banks with other institution ventures. Like Standard Chartered Bank, we have shares. CFAO as well, we have shares. Trust Bank Gambia, GAMCO.
We would be interested in knowing. Please slow down.
I just want to give us,
you're telling us about your investments.
Yeah.
But whatever you tell us has to be meaningful.
Okay,
now,
fine.
in Standard Chartered Bank, for instance, how much shares do you own?
Yeah, it's
what
performing.
percentage?
I just want to give a brief summary, but okay, I'll give you the total regarding to our equity investment. Within that equity investment, that's where we have non-performing investments. Okay. That was basically directives from the Office of the President. Those are the non-performing investments.
All right, give us your investments.
Okay.
And then we will discuss the ones that are for the purpose of, at least within the scope of our terms of reference.
All right, our total investment to date requiring equity investment is about $1.89 billion.
Okay.
And out of that $1.89 billion, $310 million are classified as non-performing investments.
310
million. Yeah.
Million
Are classified as non-performing investments. On those non-performing investments, it relates to GAMCO for an investment of about $15.6 million.
GAMCO?
GAMCO.
15.6 million.
15.6. Galia Holdings. These are the two ferries acquired some time ago.
That's how much?
That the Galia is $162.1 million. And then you have Qatari, that is the Gambia Food and Feed Industries.
You call it the Qatari investment?
Yes, Qatari investment, that's right. And that one totals to $133,605,000.
These are the three non-performing.
Non-performing.
And you're saying these are investments you made at the direction of the Office of the President?
Of the President, that's right, ma'am.
Right.
There is one in particular which is the GAM Petroleum, but now it's performing. We classify it as performing investment. It's performing now.
GAM Petroleum?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Could you tell us, let's start with GAM Petroleum. What is your investment in GAM Petroleum?
Yeah, our investment is, GAM Petroleum is about 31% holdings. And the number
Meaning you own 31% of the equity in that company?
Equity, yeah, that's right.
Okay. What was your equity contribution? Equivalent to this 31%?
The cost to that 31% was $377,071,000.
Okay. You said it was, when did you make this investment?
2008.
You said it was non-performing until recently.
Yeah.
What was the period of non-performance, and when did it start performing?
Up to 2014.
2008 to 2014?
Yeah, because we started receiving dividend for the year 2014-2015.
In 2015?
Yeah, 2014-2015. That's right. That's the time we started receiving dividend.
You mean you started receiving it in 2015 for the year 2014?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So you've been paid how many? Twice?
Twice, that's right, ma'am.
2015 and in 2016?
Yeah.
How much did you receive?
It totals to $16.096 million.
Total?
Yes, the total dividend received, yeah, today.
16 million?
16.096, 16 million and 96,000. Yeah.
Do you have a breakdown per year?
Yes. The 2014-15, we received 7,380,000.
7,380,000.
And the year 2015-16, we received 8,716,000. Sorry. And according to their draft accounts for 2017, we're expecting a dividend even higher than this.
Can you tell us what rate of return this is? Can you tell us? Are you able to tell us what rate of return on your equity investment this is?
No, maybe I could. We could say payback period regarding to this investment.
No, I'm talking about the dividend payments you received for 2014 and 2015. What was the return?
No,
has it been calculated?
No, it wasn't calculated. I think normally what they do, they apply 31%. There should be a policy regarding to payment of dividend. Okay, there is a statutory requirement that certain percentage would be on the earnings, would be credited to the earnings, and then probably the balance would be paid as dividend. And the percentage would apply on those balances. Probably 31% of that balance was applied, which gave us these two figures.
Understand. I just wanted us to have an indication, a basis for comparison. In other words, you are receiving a certain rate on your original investment of 377 million as compared to what you probably receive for, let's say, Standard Chartered Bank or Trust Bank. But you are saying you can't tell us. Okay. Is there a dividend policy?
Yeah, there should be a dividend policy.
Is there a dividend policy at
GAM? That is for GAM Petroleum. Yeah, they should have that. Normally in any
Do you know whether they have one, a dividend policy?
I don't know, but there should be.
That's fine, that's fine. So you are saying this is, you classify this now as performing?
Yeah, it is performing.
You don't have an issue with
it? We're receiving dividend and we expect to receive more in the coming years.
Honorable Commissioners, you might have questions before I move on to the next investment. Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on then to the non-performing investments, those you classify as non-performing. What is your basis for classifying them as non-performing?
Well, making particular investment for a number of years without any returns.
Okay. What is your threshold? Do you have a threshold for the number of years within which you would expect to have returns?
Normally in accounting, at least a minimum of 5 years.
And these are way beyond 5 years? They are beyond the 5-year threshold?
So definitely should be classified.
Right. Which one do you want to start with?
Let me start with Galia Holdings, please, if you allow me.
All right. Tell us about Galia Holdings.
Yeah, Galia Holdings is in connection with the acquisition of 2 ferries. We received directives from the office of the Minister of Finance initially requesting Social Security to put initial deposit of 20% contribution and government contribution. Anyway, to start with in the initial stage, a document. There was a joint venture between the Gambia government and a Greek company called Galia, signed well before a directive was issued to us to effect payment.
What is the date of the joint venture?
The date of the joint venture was
agreement.
5th March 2011.
And the parties are? Can you tell us the parties and who signed on behalf of the parties?
Okay, signed by Mr. Hali Abdullah Gai.
Hali or Ali? Hali.
Hali. H-A-L-I.
In what capacity?
He signed on behalf of the Republic of the Gambia, according to the document, and then witnessed by Pahari Jame.
In what capacity? Did he indicate his title?
No, they just witnessed by Pahari Jame, signature, and then put place in Greece. The document was signed in Greece,
and the partner, joint venture partner is called, what is the name of the joint venture partner? Give us the full name.
The other party who signed?
Yes.
Mr. Stavros Kalasnaski.
Okay. Spell it.
S-T-A-V. S-T-A-V-R-O-S. And Galanakis is G-A-L-A-N-A-K-I-S. Please, yeah.
Okay.
And then witnessed by Nation Diagos.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
It was also signed in Greece as well.
And this, you said, was a joint venture partner to...
For the acquisition of these ferries.
By Gambia government?
Yes, by Gambia government.
From this joint venture partner, Galia Holdings?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, the joint venture agreement between the Republic of the Gambia and Galia Holdings. That's the agreement.
All
and
right.
from this agreement, a directive was issued to Social Security to meet government contribution regarding to this joint venture agreement. An initial letter was sent to us for us to pay a deposit of 20%, which was about 350,000 euro.
And what is the date of the letter? The date of the letter, you said?
8 March. The letter was dated 8 March.
From Ministry of Finance?
Ministry of Finance, yeah. Because the reason why it came from Ministry of Finance was a letter from the Office of the President was written to the Ministry of Finance, for Ministry of Finance to write to Social Security to effect the payment. All those.
What is the date of the letter from
Office of the President?
President?
Surprisingly, it's on the 8th, that same date.
Why are you surprised?
That it took a day to complete this kind of transaction, knowing this thing of government.
So you are saying a letter emanated from Office of the President on the 8th to Finance on the 8th.
On
when
the
did
8th.
Finance write to you?
And then that same day, Finance wrote to us on the 8th.
Okay, yes. So what happened?
And then the letter written to us, there was an attachment where the money should be paid to.
Okay.
On a joint account of Galia Holdings, Modu Sabali, and Keba S3.
What do you mean?
Okay, they sent us a directive, ask us to pay to make an initial payment of 350,000. That is the deposit, 20% deposit. The directive is here. Okay, it says, let me, please, if you allow me, I read this letter, please.
Okay.
Addressed to Managing Director, extremely urgent. Request for payment of government 20% towards the financing for the purchase of ferries. That is the subject matter. The letter says, as you are aware, the government of the Gambia has concluded a joint venture agreement with Galia Holdings, a Greek investors, for the purchase and the operation of 2 ferries in the Gambia. In the joint venture, the government of the Gambia has 45% share holding and thus required to contribute the same portion towards the financing of the venture. The agreed price of one of the ferries now being considered Papa Gejos 4 is €1,750,000. This put our contribution towards the initial deposit at 20% at €350,000, and this must be paid by the end of today, which was on the 8th itself.
Okay.
Based on the above a directive has been issued for Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation to participate in this venture by making the initial deposit of €350,000. The final shareholding will be discussed and agreed subsequently. And then attach our bank details for payment. Signed, Mode ASEC, Permanent Secretary 1, Ministry of Finance. Okay. And the attachment of the bank details is herewith. It's a joint account, Galia Holdings Limited, Momadou Sabali, and Keba S3. And that's where we paid the money.
In which bank?
This must be in Greek.
The bank in Greece?
Yeah, it must be in Greece, yeah.
It's in Greek?
Yeah.
And did you pay?
Yeah, we actually paid. There is an attachment here on the foreign exchange transfer form, which we made a telex transfer for that particular payment.
That's your entire investment in this?
No. This was the initial deposit. The documentation regarding to initial payment, here is the telex transfer document with the SWIFT confirmation copy that shows that the payment was actually made. And on March 30th...
Can you add it to the agreement, joint venture agreement? Yes, thank you.
And then on March 30th, a letter from the office of the
Which year?
This is March 30th, 2011.
Same year?
Same year and same month. We received a letter from the office of the president, address, says extremely urgent, addressed to the managing director of Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, ECOWAS Avenue. Request for payment towards the financing, the design of the Banjul and Barros slipways for ferries.
Slipways?
Yes. Following the concluded joint venture agreement between the government of the Gambia and Galia Holdings for the purchase and operation of 2 ferries in the Gambia, you are hereby urgently requested to settle an amount of Euro 979,375. The Euro account of the said company. And they quote the same account number. It's a long account number stated here.
The same account number in Greece?
The same account number.
To build slipways in Gambia. Are you sure? Can you check? Is the same account number?
Yeah, because it's the same attachment on that. They quote the account number with the attachment.
Okay, very well.
Yeah.
Did you pay?
Yes, we did the payment. And then for this one, there was a board walkabout resolution, of which the board agreed. And
what is the date of the walkabout resolution?
The walkabout resolution was dated 1st April 2011.
Who was the chair of the board at the time? No, in the walkabout resolution should indicate.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was going through my order. Mr. Amadou Samba was the chair at that time.
Managing director?
Mr. Tumbul Danso. But what I saw here, it was signed for Mr. Tumbul Danso by the then deputy managing director, which was Mr. Sabatou Fall.
But Mr. Tumbul Danso's name is on it?
Well, it was on the board authorization.
Is that the only payment you made?
Okay, this relates to the acquisition cost of the ferries. The attachments are there regarding the instruction to the bank to effect this payment, and then the confirmation of the payment, the switch confirmation also attached here. In addition to that, the construction bit of this slipway, the ramps came, and then we were also asked to participate regarding to that payment.
I thought the 900 and something thousand euro you mentioned is for the slipways.
Yes.
That's what the letter said.
Yeah, that's what the letter says. But I think it is an error regarding to the subject matter of the particular letter. Because if you go
Please speak up. Your volume is going down.
No, what I'm saying is probably the second letter, the subject matter, it could be a mistake on that. I think it relates to the acquisition cost of the 2 ferries.
I see.
Because if you go through the investment analysis attached on this thing, the cost
attached to
this joint agreement, you see the cost of these ferries is far more than 350,000 euros. And initially on the first letter they mentioned 1,750,000. We paid 20% of that. So they were talking of the balance of that amount.
All right. I'm sure this story will become clear.
Yeah, probably,
GPA comes.
GPA would be more distinct regarding to this whole thing.
So what is the total? Do you have a breakdown of your total investment?
I have a breakdown of the total of our entire expenditure regarding to this.
Could you add it to the...
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Which is about $162,180,010.32.
Okay.
This is.
Could you put the documents together?
Yes.
This is acquisition and building of slipways.
Yes, acquisition costs and building of slipway with the intercompany account settlement.
Intercompany with who?
Yes, with ports. Normally, okay, whatever expenses they meet towards this joint venture at their end, they will split it between us and them. Like 45% of the cost. We'll meet 45% of the cost. So that's why we call it the intercompany account settlement, GPA. And really, I think GPA would be in a better position in explaining the whole idea regarding to this whole, because they were at the center of everything. Our main this thing was to effect payment. as directed.
And hopefully to get it back as well.
Yes, definitely. That's
to get the money back.
And hope to get investment returns on this particular investment back, which was...
was there a loan agreement? Or it's just an equity investment?
It's an equity investment. And then I could further say...
Sorry, Mr. Cham, was there a shareholders agreement?
And so then GPA probably...
There was never any board?
No, not an appointed board.
No, but you own 45% of Gambia government. What was Gambia government's stake in the joint venture? How much?
45%. You know, okay. Gambia government stake on the joint venture was 45%.
And your stake in the Gambia government, 45% is how much?
You know what they did was, on this joint venture, 100%. Gambia government is 45%, Galia is 55%. So out of the 45% was transformed to 100% between Social Security, Gambia government and GPA. 45 to Social Security, 45 to GPA, and 10% to Ministry of Finance. But Ministry of Finance, they later back out. They said they could not anymore contribute towards this, joint venture. They don't have the funds. So it was between Social Security and GPA.
Okay. All right. Were there any meetings between Galia and the government group comprising your GPA, Social Security, and
Gambia there
government?
Any
meeting between Galia on the one hand and Gambia government represented by yourself, that's Social Security, GPA, and Gambia and Ministry of Finance? No,
definitely. We used to have series of meetings at the Gambia Post Authority with the attendants.
With the Galia group?
Yeah, with the Galia people, with Ministry of Finance attendants.
Did you attend any of those meetings?
Yeah, I've attended quite a number of meetings regarding to this issue.
So what happened? Why? We know the ferries did not work.
Yeah, did not work because
we've been told in this commission that the ferries were not of use. Was it useless or not of any use? The slipways could not be made functional enough, or whatever happened, we don't know. So from your own perspective as investors with an equity stake in this project, what was the problem as you perceived it or as you saw it?
Yeah, definitely. The proposed investment or the company did not took off the ground. There was nothing happening. They got those ferries, everybody saw these ferries and that sort of thing, and that was it. Because I think they have issues regarding to dredging and that sort of thing. So definitely they cannot utilize those ferries.
So what's the situation now?
Well, I don't know much about it.
Your money is tied up. Your money is tied up in 2 ferries that are not operational, in slipways that are lying useless. So what is the next step for Social Security in this matter? Or what is the status of affairs?
Okay. Only recently they were talking about arbitration.
Between?
Gambia government and Galia. At the Ministry of Justice. I think the Ministry of Justice regarding to this arbitration proceeding, because they were the one representing Gambia government. I think they traveled to those people, met with those people, whatever agreement they had, I don't know. It wasn't communicated to us. Yeah.
Let's have the documents.
Yeah. Here. And this other one as well. Yep. Yeah, that's all.
Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted a copy of a joint venture agreement between the Republic of the Gambia and Galia Holdings Limited, Marshall Islands, dated 5th March 2011, and correspondence between the Office of the President, Ministry of Finance, and Social Security with regard to the joint venture agreement or payments on behalf of government. As well as a walkabout resolution. Mr. Chairman, I don't seem to have the letters of 8 March that you mentioned. Letters of 8 March that you mentioned.
There. Everything is there. You want me to come and show you?
Oh. Okay, they're behind the resolution. Okay.
Okay.
between the Republic of the Gambia and Galia Holdings Limited, dated 5th March 2011, on the acquisition of the ferries Al Jamdu and Kansala, plus related documents in a bundle, admitted mark SC35.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Cham, this loan, is it still on your books or has it been written off?
It's still in our books. You mean the acquisition of the ferries? Yes, it's still in our books.
Okay. Right. I don't have further questions on this. Commission members might have. Commissioners, questions before I move on to the next one.
Mr. Chairman, one quick one. From your knowledge and interaction with the GPA or the Galia people, was there any consideration of the ramps prior to the acquisition of the ferry?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge.
So it means the ferries were procured, and then the idea of where they should dock came.
Yeah, came afterwards. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we'll move on to the next investment.
Yeah, the next one is the Qatari investment. That is Gambia Food and Feed Industries.
All right. What is the Gambia Food and Feed Industries?
On May 20th, 2010, we received a letter from the Office of the President addressed to the Managing Director, Gambia National Petroleum Company, GNPC, Managing Director, Gambia Ports Authority, and Managing Director, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation. And then the subject was on the matter of the proposed joint venture with a Qatari company. And then the letter reads, I hereby write as a follow-up to the meeting you had yesterday with Honorable Dr. Njoguba at the conference room of this office on the subject of taking up shares in a venture with Qatari-based company that is investing in a key manufacturing venture here in the Gambia. And then in brackets, the only absentee at this meeting was Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation.
The only, sorry?
Absentee on this meeting was Social Security. We did not attend this particular meeting. And then the next paragraph says, I am to recapitulate the agreement that out of the $7 million represent our contribution to the venture. It says JNPC will take up 15%, GPA will take up 20%, and Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation will take up 65%.
65?
Yes, 65%. Then it says the mode of payment will be as follows. 15 days from today's date, you would both be required to pay half the value, your shares, and the remaining half another 15 days. And it says you will realize the urgency of this transaction because it was an executive directive that all the necessary assurance, including the paperwork, be concluded before the visiting team of Qatari investors who are in town for the proposed leave.
You're visiting?
It says, okay, you will realize the urgency of this transaction because it was an executive directive that all the necessary assurance, including the paperwork, be concluded before the visiting team of Qatari investors who are in town for the proposed leave shortly. Please treat as urgent and liaise with Honorable Dr. Njoguba to finalize. signed Ibrahim O. Kamara for Secretary General, copied to Honorable Dr. Njoguba, Minister of Works, Construction and Infrastructure.
Okay.
Okay, with the last paragraph there, which says we should treat with urgency and then to liaise with Dr. Njoguba. When management liaised with Dr. Njoguba, he made known to us that it's not Dalasi, it should be in dollars.
Instead of $7 million, it should be $7 million.
Yeah, it should be dollars, non-dollars. And there was a communication to that effect.
When?
The letter on 4th June 2010. This letter, very urgent, addressed to the Acting Managing Director, Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, proposed joint venture with Qatari. With reference to your correspondence, SSHFC stroke G79 volume 258 dated 28 May 2010, regarding the above subject, I wish to inform that the amount quoted in your letter is correct, but it should be in US dollars instead of Gambian dollars. Please rectify the amount to $7 million. Regards, H.M. Tambedu Jawara Mrs. for Secretary General, copied to Honorable Dr. Njoguba, Minister of Works, Construction and Infrastructure. From there, the management came up with a board walkabout resolution to effect payment of this directive received from the Office of the President. Yeah, the board resolution.
There is a board resolution.
Yeah, there is a board resolution there.
And it's dated when?
The board resolution was dated 2nd June 2010.
Okay.
After receiving that letter from the Office of regarding to the clarification of the currency.
Chairman of the board and Managing Director of Social Security.
The chairman of the board was Mr. Amadou Samba, and then the Managing Director was Mr. Edward Graham.
Okay. So what happened after that? Did you pay?
Yes, we did pay. The attachment regarding to the payment. And then an account number also.
How much did you pay? 65% of $7 million?
Yes, 65% of $7 million, which amounts to $4,550,000.
You paid that?
You paid that, yes.
How much dollars at the time?
It was $133,605,000.
Yeah. What is, I would like you to explain what the investment was. Gambia Food and Feed Industries. You have here you were paying $65 million. Did you find out what it was for?
Well, we did actually make the payment. Later on, in fact, initially, at the initial start, it was called Qatari investment. We never knew it was in connection with animal feed and that sort of thing. Because what they were saying is, we didn't know much about it.
Yeah, but the letter did indicate what sort of investment it is, isn't it? The letter from the Office of the President.
Yeah, Qatari investors and that sort of thing. Manufacturing, key manufacturing venture in the Gambia. It doesn't exactly say what this venture, this line of business is about.
So, Mr. Cham, what did you tell the board when you asked for $133 million?
Okay,
what did management tell the board? What were they investing in or approving?
A board walkabout resolution was prepared. I can read the board walkabout resolution.
Yes, but the walkabout resolution is an outcome of what management submitted to the board. I would like to know what management submitted to the board.
That's the submission here. This is the submission. That's the board walkabout resolution, the submission, and then you have the board members sign at the back of it, approve or not approve.
Are you saying there was no supporting document? You just drafted the resolution and the board signed it?
Yes, that's what the then management did. When they receive it, they probably asked the secretary to the board.
Mr. Cham, are you sure?
Yeah, yes. That's the document.
That you did not explain what it is about. You did not attach the letters from Office of the President.
They do attach it. Normally, it's attached on the board walkabout resolution.
But there is no write-up about what this investment was.
That's what I'm saying. The walkabout resolution write-up is here. That is it here. This is what they should present to the board.
All right.
With the letter, the directive.
What is the investment according to the walkabout resolution?
According to this document, it says an executive directive reference OP 21745.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Was received from the Office of the President, followed by another letter reference 1st June instructing SSHFC to purchase 65% of government contribution to the proposed venture amounting to $4,550,000 which converts to $118 million. The payment of 50% of the amount should be made on 3rd June, and then the other 50% on 18 June. By a letter reference dated 20 June, the Honorable Minister and Finance has given ministerial approval for SSHFC to proceed with the financing of the sales. Management hereby seek the endorsement of the board for management to proceed with the payment in line with the executive directives. That's what they present to the board.
So basically what you're saying is Social Security was investing in a venture they didn't know anything about.
I should think so. Because definitely by the time we got this thing, we didn't know that it was actually meant for animal feed and that sort of thing.
Right, so you paid. What happened after that?
Yeah, we paid, and then the attachment relating to those the payments we made, they are here attached with. And then we were made to understand that, that particular joint venture took off the ground. It was
Sorry, that it took off the ground?
Yeah. It started operating.
Where?
It's at Kamalo, the highway, Serekunda Banjul Highway. That's where the...
Those silos at Kamalo?
Yeah, that's right. Those are
so what do they manufacture there?
Well, basically it was animal feed.
Animal feed?
Yeah, animal feed. Because I remember one time we had a meeting at the office of the president for the launching of the actual animal feed at cabinet.
Now you were acquiring 65% of government
contribution.
Contribution, we'll call it that, for want of a better word, or government shares in this joint venture.
Yeah.
How much was government shares in this joint venture supposed to be?
According to the letter, government shares was supposed to be 7 million. I don't know what the 7 million translate to.
You never knew?
No, we never knew. Their contribution is 7 million, and they said we should meet 65% of their contribution, which amounted to 4.5.
Was any government mechanism put in place, mechanism put in place, like a board or some sort of at least body or committee to set up the operation that the company was supposed to be involved in? How was the factory set up? Is it a factory by the way? What do you call it?
Well, the setting up of we were not definitely involved regarding to setting up of the factory or whatever. Our line of response there was to effect the payment. Okay, after effecting the payment, I think the place operated for some time, and then it ceased operation. I think they were having issues with the government. That was the time they involved National Audit Office. I know the National Audit Office did an audit there. Because there were claims and counterclaims that, they did not actually...
Sorry, Mr. Cham, what I do want to know or understand is what steps Social Security took with regard to its investment. This was a significant investment in a venture. After you paid, were there any steps to take part in the governance of this venture as would be normal for any investor to do?
Not at the initial stage, until when it ceased operation. That was the time we had a board. Was there an independent company operating it? Do you know? No, I don't.
What is this GFF? Is it a GF? Is it Gambia?
Gambia Food.
Is it a company?
Well, that's how they call it. They
is it a company?
Yeah, a company.
You think it's a company?
Yeah, it's a company. From Qatari to GFFI.
But there is no board? Or there was no board?
That's what I'm saying. At the initial stage, I don't know whether there was a board also. But after it ceased operation, there was a board which involved Social Security, GPA, and GNPC. And Mr. Amadou Koli also was the chairman of the board. And that was in September. That's the time we got
Mr. Who?
Sorry?
Mr. Who, Koli?
Koli, yes, Amadou Koli. He's the number 2 guy at GGC.
The managing director of GGC?
The deputy managing director.
Deputy managing director is the chair?
Yeah, he was the chair.
And who are members of this board?
Yeah, Social Security, and GNPC, and GPA.
So what is the status of affairs of this investment?
Well, this investment definitely is also on court arbitration as well. The government is represented by the Minister of Justice as well. They're having issues, I don't know much about it.
So who started the arbitration?
On their side, because I think they were claiming certain, monies regarding that the company should have started and they would have been making profit this year, the payment of dividend and that sort of thing. So they had issues regarding to those things.
So you're speaking very fast. Who started the arbitration?
It started from the other parties and the Lebanese, yeah. And I think
let's have the documents before.
Yeah, it's currently being handled by the Ministry of Justice.
Mr. Chairman, I appear to have admitted a letter from the Office of the President dated 20 May 2010 on the matter of the proposed joint venture with a Qatari company and other documents relating to the said joint venture, including payments made by Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation.
what's his name again? Yeah. Mr. Cham.
Yes.
We keep saying in these documents, Qatari company, Qatari company, Qatari company. Did you ever identify the name of this Qatari company? What's the name of the Qatari company?
Well, that's how it was sent to us. They just mentioned Qatari company, and we were asked to pay Qatari company with the bank details attached there. So,
up to this date, you do not know the name of this Qatari company?
No, what we only know is Qatari company, and there were individuals representing this Qatari company during the meetings we had regarding to this GFFI. If you go through I think there's an agreement, those.
So up to this date, you do not know the name of the Qatari company?
Yeah, I would not know much regarding to the establishment of the company.
I can't hear you.
I said I would not know much about regarding to the establishment of this Qatari company. But as I concluding regarding to this, I said, okay, Ministry of Justice is handling this issue because it's under arbitration. And I believe regarding to arbitration issue, the Ministry of Justice would be able in a position to identify the individuals regarding to this Qatari company. They are talking to people. They've traveled to meet people regarding to arbitration. So they might know who these people are.
I see. You are giving a suggestion as to how
and that's exactly what is happening. They had meetings because it's on arbitration.
No. I say you are just giving us suggestions as to how to know this Qatari company.
Yes.
But you at SSHFC do not know the name of this Qatari company.
No.
Very well. That's clear enough. We'll use the word. Letter dated 20th May 2010 from the Office of the President to the Managing Director SSHFC, the Managing Director GPA, and the Managing Director GNPC on the matter of the proposed joint venture with quote-unquote the Qatari company and related documents. Admitted mark SC 36.
Can I have the documents once they are marked? Mr. Cham, the accounts to which these funds were paid, where were the funds paid?
Well, from the Social Security Fund.
No. Paid to. All right. Let me amend that question. Social Security paid where? This 100 and you said, I think you mentioned that initially 118 million. Where did you pay it to?
Yeah, and Konapro something. The account details are attached on the directive.
All right, we'll give it back to you. Meanwhile, I'd like you to take a look at SC. This is an exhibit, SC 31. Exhibit SC 31 is a letter from the Office of the President dated 6 October 2011, addressed to Managing Director Trust Bank Limited and copied to others, among whom is Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation, SSHFC. Have you seen that letter before?
No. This is the first time I'm seeing this letter.
I'll give you a moment to read it.
Letter from the office of the
Sorry,
president.
don't read it aloud. Just I'll give you a moment to read it to yourself, just
Oh, okay.
so that I can ask you questions.
Yeah.
You've read it.
Yes, I've gone
Now,
through it.
this letter is information to you, your institution, among others, that the accounts at Trust Bank for the Gambia Food and Feed Industries, Feed GFFI, was to be changed, right? The name
Yeah.
was to be changed to Gambia Animal Feed and Rice Project.
Yeah.
And $500,000 had been paid by the Office of the President. Are you
Yes.
aware of $500,000
Yes,
being
it's
paid
the-
by the Office of the President?
I think I made a submission regarding to that 1 million loan they took. And then the 500,000 bid was the government of Japan, which they later cancelled. You remember?
Sorry, say
On
that
my
again.
last appearance, I made a presentation regarding to a 1 million loan which the Office of the President applied for. 500,000 cash, and then the other 500 to the government of Japan regarding to tsunami something or so.
The government of Japan,
Japan.
yes.
But later on, they cancelled that draft for that 500,000. And it's the same 500,000 we were asked to pay it into this account with Trust Bank on the GFF5 account. It's the same 500,000 paid by Social Security into this account.
So was Social Security credited for the $500,000 already paid?
No, that's why it's still reflecting on our list we provided as non-performing loan. It's classified as a non-performing loan. We effect the payment. Afterwards, they were thinking of, I think there was particular a board meeting which the board members were thinking of converting it to an equity shares for Social Security, because it was Social Security who paid that money into the GFF account. But no, it was not concluded. So the money is still hanging as a loan to Gambia government.
Why wasn't it accounted for?
Sorry, Council.
Okay.
We need a break now.
All right, thank you.
We shall rise. We'll be back in 15 minutes.